Hello, Vasuki sir. First of all, thank you for joining the call. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All good, all good. So, thank you, Vasuki sir. I wanted to understand a bit more about your journey because I have seen your Instagram profile. I heard about you from the different parts of the people. You work for the sustainability advocacy, precisely if I have to put in a very nutshell. How did that happen? Because you have delivered that TED talk, you have been covered by some of the news media outlet as well. And what I know that you have worked with the IT industry almost for more than 2 decades, and then transitioning to altogether sustainability advocacy, that too in the real time. How did that transition happen? What was your journey altogether?
It took us some time to learn in the sustainable living, but I think it's a 40s syndrome where we start looking at what else to do in life. And also, I lost my job in IT industry and was trying to do some of the freelance work, and then was trying to figure out how to keep myself engaged. I come from a village and I was doing gardening. And obviously, in order to grow, you need compost. And that's something I felt that I can go back to. And that's how, when I started actually exploring the possibility of composting, I follow Vani Murthy. I was following Vani Murthy, who is very popularly known as Bomb Rani. Even
Is it okay?
earlier, she's an Instagram social media influencer. At that time, she was on YouTube. She used to come to a program called Uta from Your Tota. In Kannada, it means meal from your garden. Bangalore is a capital of terrace gardeners. A lot of people actually grow their own safe food on their terrace. And this event used to happen once a quarter. And Vani would come, and I used to go try to meet her and then talk to her. And she was known for vermicomposting. And I just wanted to follow that footstep and then have compost to grow safe food. And that's how the journey started.
So this you are referring to which what timeline, by the way?
10 years ago. This was actually 10 years ago.
So
Yes.
around 2013, 14, is it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So that's something is what we call as a opportunity in adversity. And probably so you got laid off from the job and then you did your gig for some time as in terms of freelancer and then gradually you transition to sustainability, is it?
Yes. I lost my job twice in IT industry. It's something that happens. Once when I was in the US, I was working there and I lost my job right after the big tragedy, the 9/11. And then I think these things teach us lesson, how to come back and then figure out. And at that time, the first time I was still a technology person, and I was able to actually find a job. But the second time around, it was a long gap, and also it took me some time to figure out what to do with life. I was fortunately got a job in software also, and the job in waste management happened in parallel, and then I could continue. I think the job in software was for that minimum salary that you need, and then you can pursue what you want to do in life by doing work in waste management. So it happened in parallel. I was very fortunate. I think there is a saying that Vani Murthy says, we are so happy that we found garbage and garbage found us. And we are now in a happy space. Together, we are in a happy space.
Well, that's a big statement to claim for we found garbage and garbage found us. That's a very nice statement. So so the reason I'm asking this question and emphasizing more in part because when you come from such a white collar job and because the IT software industry itself is a very renowned or have something sort of strata, And that too, you yourself mentioned you have worked with US as well. How was your transitioning? Did you face any resistance from the family, friends, colleagues, in and around people? Because it's not only changing the industry, but in terms of the pay per se, if you look at that way, there's no comparison.
So, when I speak about my job in corporate industry, software industry, and what I am doing now, what we are doing is problem solving. There's a problem which is in front of us, and we need to solve. And then, in order to solve, we need to, start. We need to create a process, and we need to create a standard operating procedure (SOP). We go, okay, step one, step two, step three. It's very similar, and that's what I, whatever the experience I gained, I give a lot of credit to my software industry experience for what I am doing now, and the lessons learned there have been adopted here also, and end of the day we are doing problem solving and process improvement. To answer your I think the second question, um, what motivated? I think it is the eagerness to grow something, safe food, and um, then I was able to actually use the ability to innovate, ability to create a do-it-yourself compost bin, and many of these things gives me a lot more happiness, um, as good as actually what how I enjoyed the program initial programming days. Same thing, I'm actually enjoying this journey as well.
So, connecting to that itself, you did mention that you started with one murti, and that's how it was. So, how did this soil and health came in the picture? How did this all begin? Because if I'm not mistaken, you have an offer from one from IT and another from the West Management companies, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you started with the West Management as a part time, and then gradually you picked up. How did that transition happen?
I have many gurus and well wishers, and I think we create a network, and Bangalore is blessed with an ecosystem of good people. I have a friend, Mr. Ramanan Natarajan. He called me one day and said, I am planning to actually create this new company and going to work on garbage. I think that phone call and then agreeing to it with no knowledge of, no head and tail about waste management, just plunging into it was the game changer. At the same time, my classmate, Ranga, he called me and said, I have this software company and I want you to manage a set of resources. And I was able to agree to both the things. And it is the having this freedom which Ranga provided, even though he's paying the salary, he allowed me to explore the waste management also in parallel. And even now, he's very fond of the fact that the work that I have done, he's very appreciative of the work I'm doing in waste management. Even though the software has, it's like now I'm not doing that anymore for the last 2 years. I'm totally into waste management, but me and my classmate are still very good friends, and he appreciates the work that I am doing.
Amazing. Amazing. So, in one of your TED talk I was going through, you have spoke about the garbage awareness. How has your work influenced with respect to the community? Because Bangalore, since we are in Bangalore, there it makes sense that we have a separate. It's banded by the local government itself to segregate the waste. But when it comes to the very ground level, how has your effort, or did you see any changes that has actually impacted on a community level over the last 8 years? How has that happened? If you can share any of the anecdote.
We need to stay positive in this segment in solid waste management. And I think these days, because I'm working in temples, whether it is Banashankari temple or Anjaneya temple and all these temples, um, when we see, half glass of water, whether you interpret it as half glass full or half glass empty, that kind of decides your enthusiasm and ability to continue to work in this segment. I always look at it half glass full, and while I'm actually working on internally, but when I build a army of volunteers, or when we actually speak, deliver a lecture, we speak about being positive in this segment. um, I think I'm influenced by many gurus. Some of them, Vani Murthy is one, and then there is Dr. Joshi Cherian. He's a microbiologist and a person who taught me so much in community composting. There is Ramanan, there is Krishna Kumar. So you are learning, constantly learning over the period of time. And then even when we, find a situation where there is a disagreement among us because we are a set of practitioners who are working in this segment, and there are days when we kind of feel low, but there are days actually we feel very encouraged also. Or if we are feeling low, we create an event and we all get together in Bangalore, and that makes us happy. We hug each other and then we share our stories and information, and I think that's the beauty of working in this segment. I would like to say, 70 to 80% of my projects are failure, and accepting the point that it is a failure, and then how do I redefine the program. If you look at temple composting, which started 6 years ago, it miserably failed over a period of 5 years, but we documented, learned, what are the reasons for failure, and then we started temple 2.0 and defined some of the yes, SOP factors, and then we thought that we succeeded. Then again we encountered a situation just 3 months ago, and then now we are actually trying to overcome that also. Now, there are scenarios where, because of lack of interest, lack of supervision, lack of importance given to waste management, projects fail. And it is not in our hand sometimes. And then we kind of have to let go. And then there will be some other temple that is so interested. And when we share the reasons for failure, they will understand and then they will incorporate that and we will be happy. I think one of the project I did was on dog poop composting. Controversial, something that a lot of academic papers and many other places they say no, it should not be composted. Everything they want to burn it, but we did that project for a dog adoption center, and after a year it failed, but there is a second dog adoption center which picked up that project, and then they implemented it pretty well and it is running well. So we should not get discouraged by failures, because we face that a lot in waste management. We need to keep our spirit up and then continue to work, and there are a lot more good days that we look forward.
So that's first of all. So one of the project that you have highlighted about the dog adoption and dogs uh, waste management. I guess that's one of the one you highlighted. How do you go about it? Do you have any mechanism where you get some sort of funding, or do you have a tie-up with the local community people? Because you mentioned one of your project that you are currently working, maybe I guess if I'm not mistaken, then Banashankari temple, right? Banashankari bull temple, if I'm not mistaken. That how do you go about it? Is it like it's you get an approval from the government, you get an approval from the BBMP, or is it like a community initiative altogether?
Citizen movement is a very important factor, important thing in Bangalore, and that is what actually has encouraged us to be part of it, and then collaboratively work with the civic agency. That can be a municipality or it is a Brihat Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike, and also with the local politician. Without political will, it's extremely difficult to execute this kind of projects which are in a public space. And when we start off, actually, we are a set of practitioners who come with different complementary skills. Some people are very good at actually connecting with the politician, irrespective of the party. Whoever can actually, expand the acronym SWM, Solid Waste Management, around, solid waste management. We are we're going to go behind them, and there is no blame game. Typically, when if you look at any collaborative work that you see across, it is because there is no blaming of each other, and it is more of working together. Government officials need citizen support, and politicians need citizen support, and they want actually the local citizens to come forward and then actually work with them. And when that ecosystem is built, then there are so many things that can be achieved, and that's what has happened in different segments within Bangalore. It's not that everywhere it is hunky dory in Bangalore, but there are pockets where we are working, and it is because of citizen movement.
When it comes to sustainability, the word itself sounds so big, right? I mean, sustainability sometimes it sounds very overwhelming when it comes to that acronym or the word that is going in and around because of XYZ factor. But when it comes to me as an individual life, if I have to implement, what are the some nitty gritty that you would suggest anyone to implement? Because considering the what I may call is how to live a sustainable life, if you can just give some highlights or some best practices that may lead one to lead a sustainable life maybe.
I think it's important to sit down on a at this time actually, and then list out what are the items, single use items that we use. We get a lot of students who come and come to our learning center. We have a solid waste management school in Bangalore, and when they come, we don't talk about composting to them. We actually talk about single use disposables, which has become a big issue for most of us. And then we tell them, go home, take a pen and a paper, and then start writing down what are the single use disposables that you use. Also, do not overwhelm yourself by saying no to all of them at once. Take one step at a time. We should not actually make it a very overwhelming experience, and also we shouldn't become an intimidating character at home, because change cannot happen so quickly. Take one thing at a time and then start saying no. Um, Carry your own cutlery is another option, but the principle, the refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, it was 3R. It is reduce, reuse, recycle. We added a refuse in the beginning, so that you are very conscious, and then you are actually consciously saying no to single use disposables. And the other alternative, other thing that to do is look at the garbage that we are generating. Uh, in order to do that, we need to actually well segregate it and then accumulate it for 15 days or a month. It is possible. There are lots of videos, and we kind of use social media very effectively in uh, talk about this positive message of sustainable living. So it's possible to accumulate the garbage that we are generating for a month. This is clean and dry waste. And then look at all the things that separate them: milk packets, the carton boxes, and then that will tell us how do we reduce it, how to reduce that amount of garbage that we generated in a month. There are videos and there are very good social media influencers who should talk about actually packing, putting it all around your body in sacks and walk around, and then you see how heavy it is, and then that is what we are putting it back into Mother Earth, and then it is very heavy, and that is an approach. So it is a journey, and you can start today, and you can implement one change at a time, and then you, I think in no time you will be at a space where you can actually talk about it. The when we say please visit our Kalika Kendra, you can actually become aware, you learn, you act. Action is very important. Action on one thing at a time, and then eventually you will start leading. You can lead this effort in the neighborhood, in the ecosystem that you are living in.
Beautiful. So what I have understood, the baby step that one can implement is by one noting down what are the items that are there, and then gradually you collate it maybe for a week, for a month, and then probably you figure it out that where we can begin with.
Right.
So
That's
so my connecting question to follow up question with the same. So the way e-commerce has flourished, whether you talk about the Amazon, Flipkart, Zepto, Rapid, Big Basket, and so on and so forth, we are by default become got in habit of ordering everything online, and that is by default when it comes to the packaging entirely. If you collect entirely for a week itself, it becomes like a bunch of waste. So, do you have any recommendation over there? Because if you start collecting for a daily basis, trust me, if you'll ask me, despite that I stay in 1 BHK, 2 BHK, whatever the setup that I have, if I start collecting, I may not have a space to do something about it in a rental space.
I think mindless buying is one aspect of it, and then buying only what is necessary is second part. So I'll answer the two things separately. We need to actually overcome the mindless buying. Currently, I mean, when I was in the corporate, I was buying. If I am actually talking about not to use balloons, um, I should also admit the fact that when my kids were small and I was in the corporate, I have generated lots and lots of single use disposables, including balloons. And but now, once I became aware, the fact that there is a mother bird that is actually misinterpreting, thinking that the pieces of balloon is actually a food particle, picking it up and then trying to feed its baby with the balloon pieces, that is an eye opener. Once you become aware, will you go back actually and then have about 100 balloons around in your office celebrating Independence Day, or celebrating or releasing it into the air? No, we will not. The important thing is to understand, and this era we have access to some of these information, some of this information, and we should be able to overcome. Um, I think that's an example. I think with respect to straw, we talk about the plastic straw versus paper straw. We need to look at actually what is the carbon footprint behind each of these products. Many a times when I post this kind of information, I get trolled. All of us actually get trolled with information that people think that paper straw is better than the plastic one, or you are wasting water by actually washing the steel cutlery. I think some of them are, it's not fully thought, the conversations, and we do try to, explain to them. But end of the day, we cannot actually force on another person, your neighbor or a friend or within the family. You start doing what you like to do, like the way that I carry my own cutlery to a wedding or a any other events, and I make sure that I arrange it around my banana leaf. In South India, we use more banana leaves. I remove all the single-use disposables that are there, and I use my own reusables. And I don't actually tell any of the others that you should do this, but there is somebody observing that I am doing this. It's called, what we call it as passive influence. And the beauty of passive influence is somebody saw you that you are actually doing it, and later part of another place they come and say, I noticed that you were doing, and I started following the same. And that's what we did with Vani. Actually started that bring your own cutlery, and I follow, and many of us follow. That's
So you mean to say whenever you go to attend any party, any such event, you carry your own cutlery, is it?
always. You will never find me without my backpack on my back, and inside that there is a big steel dabba with four plates, four spoons, four tumblers, and it's always actually there. And that's my. It has become my. So we all carry. We are practitioners. All of the members of Solid Waste Management Roundtable, and we all carry, and we proudly use it, and we always refuse the single-use disposables.
Beautiful. So I actually wanted to hang on the same question because you did mention uh, you get a lot of, I shouldn't use the word as a trolling, but I'm sure backfire with respect to you should not use the paper straw because, or rather you should, because, and then instead of this, what do you say, as a cutlery or maybe something of the steel or maybe something of that. Why? Because in washing there's a lot of water drainage happens. So what's your usual argument? Because if I look at logically as well, if you given a one chance, I myself will suggest someone to please use the steel plates and so on and so forth, because that's more reusable. The life cycle of those will be much more higher over the papers that is can be with respect to the food or the juice or anything for that matter. That's something what we may call as a single time usable content. But to that as well, there's an argument because the way they dish washes the dishes, there are a lot of water wastage happen, and there are ample such example in hotel and restaurant that gallons of water that they waste. At the same time, even in at the house as well, the way they use the water is like they'll on the tap they'll start washing the dishes, and there's a the water flow just keep on happening.
I think I would like to define the scope of the conversation to actually me washing my spoon, and the water that I am actually using is actually going to be collected, and it's going to be used in the garden.
Okay, okay.
Without knowing, what am I doing with the water, there cannot be actually a person with a preconceived notion that I am actually wasting. I am actually, turning on the tap and using a lot of water. We cannot actually think that, it's an assumption. Similarly, I think I segregate my waste. Segregation is a law, and we should be segregating our waste into three categories. There is wet waste, dry waste, and reject waste. But the garbage collector who is coming in front of my home is mixing everything. That doesn't make you mix it and then give it. You need to continue to do what you do. It should not actually stop you from, because you are convinced that, I am going to do this is the right path, and the way water I'm going to conserve. I am going to have a, the aerators, so that the use of water is also less, and then I will actually use. So, as I said, it is a journey. We learn every day, and we are actually in a good ecosystem where we can learn from others also, and then continue this journey. And then you will see that you are influencing a large segment of people across the globe.
So my one of the major query that also goes to me, again, connecting to the follow-up question, I guess you might have addressed as well. But again, going back to the same conversation, in 1 month, if I look at, because of the online order, because of the Amazon, because of the Flipkart, I get a lot of boxes. I also get a lot of plastics without even inviting it. Now, having no choice with me, I immediately give it back or s- throw it out of the as a waste. Do you suggest anything? Because we do not have a mechanism to sell it to someone, to give it away to someone. And I know it all begin with having an awareness, but there's no such mechanism where we can just give it away as in terms of other than just using as a wastage. So do you have any suggestion over there where we get a lot of cartons, where we get a lot of plastics and so on and so forth?
First thing is actually reduce the online orders and also avoid Swiggy, Zomato, and with no offense to the work that they are doing, there should be actually a reduction, and it is a conscious living. The
No.
second thing is if you happen to use single use disposables or you have the plastic, paper, metal, glass, which is clean and dry, find a kabadiwala in your area. The kabadiwalas are all around. The strength of India is in its informal sector. And informal sector is doing an amazing job in stopping some of these saleable dry waste going to the landfill, and it is an amazing work and it should be continued, and we should actually make informal sector people entrepreneurs because they are naturally an entrepreneur. They know how to value the carton boxes, the milk packet and all. Once they aggregate a large amount of, even it is Parle G or a Kurkure, there will be a destination. You know, the difficulty is it should not be soiled, it should not be dirty. So kabaddi wallas are there everywhere. I know a lot of people say from the North India, in South, in Bangalore, you guys have the dry waste collection center, you have material recovery facility, you have a tertiary aggregator, all these things, and then we have drop boxes also. If you don't have a kabadiwala, find a like-minded person in your network. Try to find a activist who works on solid waste management. They are around. Find out what do they do with it. Connect, become part of that network, and find a kabadiwala. Now, let's say you are in a place where there is absolutely no one, then you create one. Work with the municipal officials, work with the politicians, find out a way, a rain-proof, rain-protected place where it can be accumulated and then it can be handed over.
Okay. Okay. So my follow-up question, because we all, when you are in a journey of such a long time, over the 8 years, would you like to share any of the inspiring moment or a story that has reaffirmed your commitment towards what you're doing currently? Because I know there must be a lot of inspiring moment, but do you care to share any of them?
I think we rediscovered ourselves during COVID time in social media. I would like to say social media played a very important role. And I think the amount of reels that I make, mostly because I watched a lot of movies, I watch in so many different languages, and figured that I can connect between a sustainable, living story and to a movie song or something. And we are actually effectively using. We want to make sustainable living fun. It is a joy to lead a sustainable life. It is a joy to take the ownership of. I mean, I talk to many young brides and bridegrooms. Take the ownership of your own wedding. Please do not give me a reason saying that, my father decides or a bride says, they decide the menu, and it cannot be zero waste wedding. Or the groom, actually many of the grooms say it is all done by the bride side, and I have no role, I just go there and then tie the mangal sutra or something like that. But youngsters, I see a lot of people, they call me and they say it is typically young bride. They're able to brainwash the groom, and then for a zero waste wedding, and then they, make sure that they can actually find a destination for all of the waste that is generated so that it doesn't go to the landfill. So there is a happiness in diverting waste from going to the landfill. It is infectious. It gets on to you. Actually, you start doing and you don't know. You now start talking about, okay, there's a friend who is moving from one house to another house, and he's actually has so many things to discard. You will start going and picking it up and then put it to the right destination. There are destinations available, whether you talk about books, toys, we talk about e-waste, old clothes. Every these all these things actually have a right destination, and that destination is not the garbage vehicle, because once it gets into the garbage vehicle, it may become dirty. Rather, you will be able to go and drop it off at a good location. So to come back to social media, we run something called skilling program. Uh, it's called Compost Karigar or a Swachhata Karigar. We are working towards elevating that respect level towards the person who is working in garbage, and they are actually doing a fantastic job. And typically, if you look at a housekeeping team, the one who cleans the lobby versus the one who cleans the swimming pool, but the one who processes the waste is least respected among themselves. It is there in their mindset. Our job has been that it is respectable to work in the swachhata as a swachhata karigar, and that's what we are doing. And while we are doing it, whether they start as a staff and then they move up to supervisor, coordinator. But during this time I ask them a question: do you know how to dance? Do you know how to sing? And you see most of my Instagram profiles, I think these boys and girls are actually enjoying and connecting the sustainable living story to a movie song or something to make it fun, and so that the Instagram crowd still can watch this positive message as well.
With respect to the way you have progressed in the last 8 year or the with your entire community, it's not only the positive change that you guys are looking for or the doing for. Do you see any future generation also making a significant difference with respect to what you are doing currently, or any aspirational project that you are looking to be conduct in the next coming as part of a future aspirational project that you may highlight?
I think we are in a very happy space. Yes, there are days where we are actually, may not be so encouraging, but there are days where we are very happy. I think the work we are doing with respect to temple waste management and also with respect to event management, with the younger crowd, they are very interested. Sometimes we should not put a boundary around ourselves, saying that I'm going to only work within my community. Um, we actually go beyond the community to the ward, to the city, and then with social media, sky is the limit. I usually say this to many youngsters who call from different cities: how do I start this in my city? Because Bangalore may, everyone actually listens to you. There is a perception, and that is not true. It is a constant, like-minded people coming together and keep on talking about it. So uh, I see that lot of college students, school children, they come to our learning center and they are already aware, but just for the fact that okay, one more paper cup, one more plastic spoon, what difference does it make if I use it? It's okay to use. And
Yes.
that is where we keep actually hammering to the point that no, there is no one more. It is actually just say no means it is no. You cannot actually say, okay, I'm actually 80% sustainable, but 20% I use single use disposables. No, that's not acceptable kind of a thing. So, but we find a lot of college principals who visit our learning center and then they say, my gardener doesn't listen to me. You actually tell this to all this to the students, and they are the future of the world. But the teachers and the principal continue to drink water in their mineral water bottle or this thing. I tell them that you need to lead by example and you need to stop it today. There is no tomorrow. You need to actually stop it today because climate change is, it's true and it is already happening and we are late and we need to act today. So, college students, corporate employees, but we make it fun and experiential learning at our learning center. And I think it's really happening. Yes, it's only maybe minuscule, less than 1% of the huge garbage problem. There is so much of garbage, and sometimes I see organizations thinking that okay, you know what, I need to this is my space and that is not another company should not come here. But there is so much garbage for all of us to work. So don't worry, work together in a collaborative way.
So one of the question that I usually ask to most of people whenever I talk about the green as an initiative, because plastic is a humongous headache for all of us. So, but at the same time, we do not see an initiative by the government to ban the plastic 100%. Where at the same time, government keep on asking, boss, don't do this, don't use single-use plastics, and so on and so forth. And there is a microbio plastic is in our blood, microbioplastics in our water, and so on and so forth. So and so there's always an argument comes that if government is not doing enough, why don't the government ban the plastic straight away? How do you see this argument coming? Because whether we agree it or not, government is also part of this. I shouldn't say that word, but it's actually what is happening in and around.
If they could have done it, they would have done it. It's not possible. My point is, as a legal entity and a temple or an institution has the power by whether it is actually bylaws or the rules of the organization, you can decide. So the way we start with ourselves by saying I'm not going to use it, and then I'm going to go beyond my home and influence many others. Tell them this is not good. I usually connect human health to the amount of garbage we are generating and then the food that we eat. And I only speak about from a human health point of view, not so much from an environmental, because when we talk about human health, it has a better impact on individuals. This argument it pops up every now and then because we are standing at the entrance of the temple and then telling people not to use single use disposables. They come and then they argue and then say, why are you not stopping the manufacturing? The manufacturing of single use disposables is not allowed in Karnataka as a state. There is a ban, and but the things gets comes from other states, and why are they not actually controlling the boundaries? All these are actually some things that is beyond me as a common citizen. Are we not doing anything at all? No, we are doing actually. As a solid waste management roundtable, along with many other NGOs, are approaching pollution control board, are approaching the BBMP, Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike, to tighten the process of uh, penalizing, because penalty is the only way wherein you can actually bring some amount of control. Um, End of the day, I'm a project manager. I actually define that they within the compound wall of the Banashankari temple, the temple has the authority to say single-use disposables are not allowed. On top of it, we volunteers we educate the citizens saying that we are finding 50 kg of plastic in a cow's stomach, and because of our convenience, if we start using single use disposables, and that is getting into either Mother Earth and making the soil suffocate, or it is actually getting into the tummy of a cow and making the cow suffocate or die, it's not actually a divine thing. You have come here to worship the god, and the god and the mother earth is one of the panchabhutas, and our tradition, our religion actually says that we need to worship mother earth, and our other bhutas are all from the nature. We need to stay put with respect to worshipping the god in the true sense. We speak about to them, some listen. Those who listen, we are happy. Out of 500, I have actually started giving these numbers. About 5 or 10 will disagree, they argue, you let them go and be happy that 490 people listen to you, and then there is a change. I see the change when I stand at the entrance of the temple, and we are happy. And yes, outside the compound wall, there is a market and it's full of single use disposables, but that's not part of the scope of the project.
Okay. Okay. My last question to you would be someone who is living in a and trying to make a composite management, best composite management pertaining to the west wet uh, the wet west. If I have to composite in a certain way, what are the some best practice that one may leverage? Or do you also recommend to leverage the YouTube channel to understand it if somebody has to do? Or do you also train them? Because the reason I'm keep on emphasizing rental space, rental space, rental space, whether we agree it or not, most of the major cities, 50, if I'm not mistaken, then more than 50% population is stay in a rental space. Not everybody has their own houses as well. So what are your recommendation in such a case?
The space should be more in our heart and mind when we speak about actually sustainable living. If we can allocate over there, then you will see space everywhere. And whether that is actually an extended window sill where you have a window and there is a space. There are, I think, the grandmother or grandparents used to actually have a small container, uh, a, a food container, and in which they would actually put some soil and a little bit of actually kitchen waste, and then they would be growing some methi or amaranth or palak. So it is actually whether we are able to allocate that time to do that, or do we want to talk about 100 reasons for not doing something, and there is one particular reason, and that is my waste is my responsibility, and then you will be able to figure out a way. Composting is something that you can do tomorrow, but saying no to single use disposables, it can be done right now. That's always actually there. So um, I think beyond that, with respect to there is a, I think I went to some green temples program, and we could see about 10 speakers speaking about why a temple cannot be a green temple, because it causes, there are so many inconveniences to devotees. It is a perceived inconvenience. We start actually assuming that the it should not cause any inconvenience to the devotees. When did actually devotees inconvenience became more important than the god himself? You have come, there is a temple, and that is actually, you are a committee member, you are a trustee, or you are a government official, and you start caring about the fact that you have to provide the prasada, the food, in a styrofoam cup, because it doesn't drip. And whereas if you use a leafy donne, it will be an inconvenience. And our tradition is actually extending our hand and then taking that prasada. When did we actually start moving towards something where the devotee became more important than the god? So I would like to say that those reasons can be many, 100 reasons, but you can actually decide to live sustainably. And when you decide, I think there are so many ways that one can adopt sustainably.
Perfect, Vasuki sir. I guess one of the major nutshell or the major conclusion that I could withdraw from this entire conversation is the moment somebody take an acceptance of that my waste is my responsibility, the shift start happening from there. And of course, then there's a lot of way to do it because the moment accountability comes, things will start changing. So yeah, I guess this makes a lot of sense, and this actually was an eye opener for me as well. I would love to visit you sometime towards the Banashankari temple, and thank you so much for sharing those insights.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to have this conversation with you. Thank you.